Martin getting his first ever major league start at short. Justin Smoke, who hit a home run last night, has done extremely well in limited at-bats against National League pitching so far in the 2018 season. And Yangervis Solarte is just flat out hot right now. 2 more hits last night, a single and a double.
They'll face Aaron Nola, the 24-year-old right-hander. And Nola's a terrific young pitcher. He's pitched very well here in this ballpark. He's 5-0 pitching at home this season for the Phillies with a very impressive ERA at 2.06. He got roughed up in his last outing. He lost to the Cardinals and he gave up a season-high 4 runs on Sunday. But prior to that, he was 5-0 in his previous 5 starts with a 183 earned run average. He is tied for second in the National League with those 6 wins. Only Max Scherzer has more wins than Aaron Nola and Miles Mikolas of the Cardinals. So he is a tough customer and he really likes pitching in this ballpark. Defensively, the catcher for the Phillies is a terrific catcher. He's got a strong arm. He caught a base runner in last night's game. He's thrown out 10 base stealers. That's the most in the majors. He's got a cannon for an arm, and he's a very good defender behind the plate. He is really scuffling a little bit with the bat right now, so much so that they've dropped him into the 8th spot in this lineup this afternoon. But he can flat out catch and throw.
And away we go with the Phillies 28-20 on the season. The Blue Jays 24-27. After that 6-5 win last night, they'll play again tomorrow afternoon, and the Phillies will return the favor. They're coming to Toronto this year as well. They'll be up in Toronto for 3 games towards the end of August. Well, not only is Russell Martin making his first ever start at shortstop in the major leagues today, but Curtis Granderson is making his first start of the season in center field. This is the first day off of the year for Kevin Pillar. So John Gibbons really mixing it up here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to give Kevin Pillar a day off. As you mentioned, he's played every inning of every game to this point. So Granderson, he's patrolled center field before. He's home out there, comfortable. So it's a good opportunity to rest Kevin.
He made 56 starts in center field a year ago, 54 of them for the Mets, 2 for the Dodgers. Obviously not quite as quick as he was when he was younger, but we'll see how he does out in center today. And the first pitch of the ball game's taken just outside for ball 1, with Doug Eddings calling the balls and strikes today. After Granderson, Josh Donaldson and Justin Smoke on a very warm Saturday afternoon here in Philadelphia. There's a swing and a foul off, 1-1 on Granderson. The Phillies again an aggressive shift. As you can see, 3 on the right side, and Hernandez is away out in the outfield grass, so Franco is all by himself on the left side. And this will be something to track with Russell Martin too, how many different spots he's in. Yeah, he's the shortstop, but shortstops move around a whole lot more than they used to.
I think that plays into a lot of the factors about Russell playing at third base this season and now making a start at short. Because of the shifts, you can put players in those positions that don't necessarily have great range, like normal shortstops might be required to have great range.
Took a little off there, and it's 2-2.
That's a changeup and a pitch that has really helped Nola. He's a fastball curveball guy, but he's throwing more changeups and getting a lot of swings and misses on that changeup. It's been a very productive pitch for him. Simple approach, as we mentioned, fastball, curveball, and a very good changeup.
And there's another one, check swing foul off by Granderson.
You talked about this the other day when you were talking about young pitchers, and we mentioned fastball, changeup. If you could master those 2 pitches, you can pitch and be successful. You have to locate your fastball in all the different quadrants of the strike zone, but then you throw a changeup in those same spots, and you can master just about any lineup.
Upstairs, and the count now runs full on Granderson, doing a good job forcing Nola to throw some pitches. 6 so far in this plate appearance, with Josh Donaldson waiting on deck. And now the 3-2, and a swing and a miss, another changeup.
Yeah, we mentioned a lot of swings and misses on that changeup, and it's something he's really gone to effectively this season. It's gotten him off to a good start. And here's his overall pitch usage. He throws about half the time he'll throw a fastball, and that curveball is a very good pitch for him, but he's throwing more and more changeup as the season has gone on. And you can really take the sting out of a hitter's bat when you have him out on that front foot. We have seen Marco Estrada throw changeups. In fact, he's throwing more changeups this season than Marco Estrada.
It's really a low percentage of fastballs thrown for a guy who throws in the mid-90s to be only at 49% fastballs. Josh Donaldson looks at a pitch inside, ball one.
You know what that does, Dan? It allows him to pitch deeper into the game because you're not necessarily throwing that changeup at 100% effort like you would your fastball.
And he's done a great job getting deep into games. First 2 starts of the year were 5 1/3 and then 5 for Nola, but his last 8 have all been at least 6 innings.
You mentioned he's coming off his worst start of the season. He lost 5-1 to the Cardinals when he gave up 4 runs on 7 hits over 6 innings.
2-0. Looked like he dropped down a little bit there, and he missed down and away for ball 3. Donaldson sizing him up. He has seen a little bit of Nola. As Smoke waits in the on deck circle, Donaldson's 3 for 3 with a home run in his career against Aaron Nola. And you better believe both of them know it. Looked like he had the green light, but he takes it inside for ball 4.
Justin Smoke last night in the 5th inning with Granderson on base. Gets a pitch out over the plate from Zach Eflin and hits it deep into the center field seats, 414 feet away from a home. For Smoke, that was his 7th home run of the season, and when he's driving the ball in that direction, that's a pretty good sign that he's really starting to swing the bat well.
Shift on 3 on the right side as Smoke bats from the left side against the right-hander Nola. And he'll look at a first pitch curveball for a strike. You can see now Hernandez is not as deep as he was when Granderson was up. That's because if the ground ball's hit to him, they want the opportunity to try to turn a double play. It remains to be seen who would take the throw at second. Kingery right now is closer than Franco. And now Franco creeps a little bit closer to second base. And another curveball.
You know, that was interesting. You picked up on his movement, but to me, that tells me that's going to be a soft pitch, because he saw the sign and then he moved to his left to indicate it was something that Smoke would pull. So if you can pick that up as a hitter, it's a pretty good tip-off that it's going to be something other than the fastball.
Left side wide open, but it's a 2-strike count on Smoke. And he got him. Changeup. Curveball, curveball, changeup to get Smoke.
Yeah, and I think the Blue Jays are going to have to regroup a little bit against Nola. In the past, he was pretty much fastball, curveball, but he's using that changeup very effectively. And what you have to do is you have to let him turn it loose before you commit. And there, Smoke was way out in front. The ball's not even in the hitting zone, and he swings out in front. Good motion from Nola selling that changeup as a fastball.
So Donaldson still at first, 2 down now here in the top of the 1st inning, and here's Teoscar Hernandez getting cleanup, playing right field as he fights one off out of play.
That's the best way to counteract the changeup. Don't miss the fastball, and Teoscar got a good fastball to hit.
A couple of hits last night for Hernandez, 2 for 4, raising his average 6 points to 253. He and Smoke are tied for second on the team in home runs with 7. The club leader is Yangervis Solarte, who's got 11 already. Did he go on the appeal? Yes, he did, says first base umpire Tim Timmons, and it's now 0-2. You can see since September the 1st the damage that Hernandez did late last year, early this year, leading the team in home runs and RBIs since that date. And a piece of the curveball. John Gibbons was asked about the defense of Teoscar Hernandez before the game today. Remember, he had the play out in right field close to the scoreboard last night, and it may have been a little bit of unfamiliarity in the ballpark as opposed to being in Toronto, padded there, not padded here, but came up just short on a ball that went over his head. And I believe the phrase that Gibby used was room for improvement. They think they know what Hernandez is defensively now, but they also think he can improve.
Yeah, that game last night was his first ever here at Citizens Bank Park, so he's really not that familiar with the depths and the angles in the outfield. But he was a little tentative going back on that ball, kind of drifted to it, and then when he reached for it, he had more room before he got to the fence than he expected. Could have taken a few more strides before he turned and tried to make the catch.
Donaldson a conservative lead over at first. 1-2 the count. And another changeup. And again, sometimes that arm angle gets a little bit lower, it looks like, from Nola on that pitch.
Yeah, and if you can command the strike zone by dropping your arm, you create problems for the hitter, obviously, because he's trying to find that release point, and if you're changing it on the different pitches, it's a real challenge. But then again, if you change your arm angle and can't throw strikes, it doesn't do you any good.
Yep. Nothing else. The Blue Jays are forcing Nola to throw some pitches here. He's at 19 right now. The 2-2. And there's a ground ball down to third, bobbled by Franco, play to second, and they'll still get Donaldson there to end the top of the first. No runs, no hits, a man left. Jaime Garcia's heading to the mound. Russell Martin's heading to short. Phillies, Gabe Kapler, a guy who actually retired as a player at 30 and managed 1 year in the Red Sox system down in A-ball, then came back and played a little bit more when he was 32, 33. Here's a look at the lineup for the Phillies today. It's a very patient group. They will take their walks. Hernandez has a great on-base percentage, and Odubel Herrera is having a great year. Home, road, day, night, left, right, you name it. He's doing some damage, and he was the guy actually that Ryan Tepera got for the last out of the game last night. Scott Kingery, the Phillies' hope, is a big part of their future. He gets a start at shortstop today.
Jaime Garcia coming off the DL. He is 2-3 for the season with a .628 earned run average. This will be his 9th start of the season, and as we mentioned, in the last 3 starts for Garcia, it didn't go that well. He was 0-1 with a .975 earned run average. The last start he made was in that 2-game series in New York against the Mets. But he threw on Thursday, announced himself fit for this start, and he's ready to go.
Switch hitter Cesar Hernandez leads it off and looks at a first pitch strike from Garcia. Donaldson in on the cut of the grass at third. Martin backed up at short on the edge of the outfield grass. Solarte at second, and Smoke even with a bag at first. Another new alignment for the Blue Jays as Russell Martin becomes the 7th different player to start a game at shortstop this year for the Jays. Donaldson gets an early play, 5-3 on the putout. Let's show you the defense.
Well, we mentioned that Kevin Pillar's getting an off day, so Curtis Granderson's in center, Smith's in left, and Hernandez in right. Russell Martin makes his first career start. You can see he's got the cheat sheet in his back pocket to help him out defensively where he's going to play. But he talked about this. I spoke to him last night. He knew he was going to play last night, and he says, I'm pretty excited about it. He's always been on the left side of the infield as an amateur, and even into college at Chipola Junior College. He played third base in the junior college ranks, and also as a Dodger his first year in the professional ranks he played third base for the Dodgers.
Number 2 hitter for the Phillies is left fielder Rhys Hoskins. And he yanks a ball to left field, and this is going to get down for a base hit. It wasn't hit as hard as it looked or sounded off the end of the bat, and that'll drop it in front of Dwight Smith Jr. for a single.
Yeah, Hoskins has been in a real tough stretch. He's just 7 for 49 coming into this game, so now that's 8 for 50, and he went 60 over his last 15 games. He was hot to start the season, and you hit that off the end of the bat. You're right. The outfielders see the big swing and hear the sound. It sounded like he actually hit it hard, but he hit it off the end of the bat.
2 big guys chatting over at first, and Hoskins and Smoke. One on, one out for the Phillies, bottom of the first. And here's the aforementioned Odubel Herrera, second in the National League in batting at .339 behind only Nick Markakis of Atlanta. Hitting .398 at home this year. And yeah, this is a good hitter's park, but .398's .398. No shift for the Blue Jays. Martin just 2-3 steps to his left, more towards the middle. And the breaking ball misses outside for ball one.
Herrera's batting stance is really unusual. Not only the setup, but the way he pushes back from his right leg. It's wide open, and so obviously has a very good look at the pitcher. But then he pushes back as the pitcher goes back. He's using that as his timing mechanism. And watch how he pushes back with his right foot and then balances on his left leg. A very dramatic, a very exaggerated leg kick.
High fly ball to center field with lots of room out there for Granderson. Again, making his first start in center for the Blue Jays this year, and that's a can of corn for out number 2.
Yeah, you would think the timing would be really an issue for Herrera, but it's not, obviously. He's hit .306 for his career in this ballpark, but see how he pushes back and then he balances on his left leg and still gets that barrel to the baseball. Just got underneath that one and lifted it to center. But he can really hit. He's got the 3rd highest average in the majors. As you mentioned, Markakis and Mookie Betts, they're the only hitters with a better average than Herrera.
2 down, and here's Carlos Santana, the switch hitting first baseman, who hit a long home run last night from the left side of the plate, up there now for the right side, hitting .205, 9 home runs overall. The former Cleveland Indian. And he takes a fastball in for a strike. So Garcia activated by the Blue Jays today. That meant a corresponding roster move had to be made. And for Dalton Pompey, it was a very short stay in the big leagues. He was with the Blue Jays last night, did not get into the game, and back on his way down to AAA this morning.
I hope he got a cheesesteak.
That's tough. I mean, you understand, you know, where you fit in the grand scheme of things, but I mean, he probably came up knowing he would likely go down after one day.
I'm sure they told him, hey, this is a one-day thing. We're going to use you as an extra man, and then you'll go right back to Buffalo when we activate Garcia. That's the only way to handle those kinds of things. Be up front with the player and let him know.
1-1. And that catches the inside corner. 1-2.
Santana was acquired by the Cleveland Indians in a trade to send Casey Blake from Cleveland to the Dodgers. At the time, he was a catcher in Double-A. And he eventually would catch for the Indians 40 games in 2010. He caught 95 games in 11, and then they decided, you know what, he's pretty valuable. Let's put him over to first base and see if we can save some wear and tear because he's such a good offensive player. But when you identify a player in Double-A and you're going to make a major trade, at the time Casey Blake was a good player and a part that the Dodgers needed. So you better know everything about the Dodgers minor league system, and they picked a good one in Carlos Santana.
The 1-2. Did he go on that breaking ball? Peeled down to first. We're waiting for a signal, and there it is that he did go. So the tag has to be applied by Maley at the plate as Santana never ran. And that'll be a strikeout, and that'll be all for the Phillies here in the bottom of the first, scoreless. all cylinders lately, but Yangervis Solarte is hot again. Total bases since May the 18th, so 8 days ago. He's got more than the next two highest Blue Jays combined.
Yeah, he's been swinging the bat very well, and he has really been determined. And I think that opportunity where he DH'd kind of set him off a little bit, got him back in a real good frame of mind. For the month of May, he's at 290. You know, you forget that even though he was productive in April, he had 6 homers and 13 RBIs. He only hit 250. But his average has jumped 40 points this month.
And this is Kingery, the shortstop, on the right side of the infield to make the play. So 6-3 on the putout, 1 down. And that'll bring up Russell Martin for the first time today. As you say, Martin was told by John Gibbons last night that he was going to be starting at shortstop, and he was probably like a kid in a candy store, too excited to sleep. This is always something that he's wanted to do. We'll see how it plays out. Did not have a play in the first inning, did not have a play in the 1 inning at shortstop in the game where he was there against the Mets a couple of weeks ago. Probably just sharing some sort of catcher's fraternity joke with Alfaro there, but I don't have to wear all that gear today, and you do.
Yeah, absolutely. On a hot day like today, and I don't have to deal with all those balls in the dirt that Garcia's throwing. But every player, I don't care who you are, pitcher, position player, every player thinks about playing another position.
What was the one position you wanted to play other than catcher?
Pitch. And I did. And I'd have been out of the inning if Sal Banda would have turned a double play.
0-2.
I played 9 innings in right field. I started a game against Sam McDowell in Cleveland, and it was a lot of fun. I actually had 2 outfield assists
in that game.
Yeah.
2-2.
So I played 9 innings. I was playing every other day with Ellie Rodriguez in 1969, and I had played on Saturday, so I didn't expect to play on Sunday. And I was kind of coming in, you know, I was a 20-year-old rookie, and I said, oh, I wish I could get in the lineup against Sam McDowell. I was.
How'd that work?
I didn't strike out.
2-2 from Nola to Martin. And a ground ball to third. A big hop for Franco, but Martin's retired 2 down. The Pitch Tracker is brought to you by Coors Light, official beer of Major League Baseball. There it is, right field, 1969 for the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, you looked it up?
Of course I looked it up.
Outfield assist?
Let's see if it says that. Right field. I got bad news for you. It says 1.
1.
It says 3 chances.
Oh, you know what it was?
What?
It was a double play.
It says double play.
Yeah, I caught a ball and threw out Sam McDowell trying to go to third.
All right.
Yeah.
And it says you had 2 putouts, 1 assist, and that is the only game where you ever appeared at a position other than catcher, other than the one time you pitched.
One time I pitched.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? I was thinking when that ball was coming to me in the outfield. Please let me catch it. You know, when you're so far removed from the action in the outfield, it feels like you're a million miles from home plate.
Yeah.
And you're out there all by yourself. There's nobody to help you.
Dwight Smith Jr. getting a start in left field today. Again, Granderson's in center. Kevin Pillar not in the starting lineup for the first time this season.
You know what? Dwight Smith Jr. has hit the ball hard. He's had a pinch hit. He's hit a home run. He's got 3 doubles. He's a guy that hasn't gotten a lot of attention throughout his minor league development, but the more you see him, the more you like him. And he hits line drives, and the rap on him is, well, you know, he's an outfielder, but he's not a real speed burner, and he doesn't have a lot of power.
Right.
But he hits.
Another guy, though, who, I mean, a little bit different than Pompey, but might be on borrowed time here with the big club if Randall Grichuk is ready to come off his rehab assignment in the next few days. And he had a base hit and 3 walks for Dunedin last night. I think Dunedin's playing later this evening. If Grichuk's ready, Smith's spot is the obvious one for him to take. Then you get that platoon going again. 3-2, and there's a bouncer to the right side, Santana, and he'll just take it himself and get the out. Man, oh man. Santana is fortunate. Some miscommunication between him and Nola.
They're all fortunate that no one got hurt. But Santana was going to toss it to Nola, and then he saw Smith, and he knew he had a chance to step on the base himself. All three of those guys, Santana, Nolan, and Smith, are all lucky nobody got hurt. Watch this. He's going to flip it and then said, no, I can take it. And then Nola couldn't get out of the way. And does he hit the base? I think he missed the base.
The call on the field, I think, yeah, there goes the right hand. You can see at the top of your screen, call on the field was out. Blue Jays had a look, and they decide not to ask for a review. And the heel, yeah, his heel got the base before Smith got there. That could have been ugly for the Phillies.
And for the first time in his 13-year big league career, Martin is starting at short today. The conversation between Russell and manager John Gibbons went this way when Gibbons called him into his office and said, "You good to play short tomorrow?" Russell said, "Great." And in large part, it is by necessity that the Blue Jays are going down this road. They have used 7, that's right, 7 different starting shortstops this season. And John Gibbons said it's because, quote, really, we don't have a true shortstop. And just how true is that? Now, any concerns on a 35-year-old making his debut at the position? Gibbons deadpanned. Well, we don't have a lot of range out there anyway, so I think Russell will be just fine.
Well, and that's the truth. They don't really have a natural shortstop. They don't have somebody with a lot of range. I think a lot of fans, and you can understand why you're saying, well, why not just bring Lourdes Gurriel back up? I think fans like what they see, although Gurriel started better than he finished in his time with the Blue Jays. But, Buck, do you see this as a one-off or maybe just a game here and there, or do you think we're now entering a new stage of Martin's career, who's signed through next season, where we could see him catch a little, play a little third, play a little short, move maybe even second, move around the diamond a little bit?
I think that's a very good possibility, and I think Russell's even thinking that way. And now, of course, it's a lot easier for Russell to take time off from behind the plate because of the way Luke Maile has played. And Luke has played very well. He has hit well. He's always caught well. He's throwing very well. And I think Russell can see some opportunities for him to maybe catch a couple, 3 days a week and then move around from time to time. But then again, he's going to have to start hitting a little bit too. I mean, you don't have the ability to say, okay, we're going to put him out there every day when he continues to hit under 200. But, you know, you hope that's going to change too.
Well, here's a little perspective. Russell Martin has played 1,554 games in the majors before making his first start at shortstop. If I'm reading this email correctly from Stats Inc., nobody ever has played that many games without starting at short and then started a game at short. And most of the guys who did it, like at 1,300 games, Eric Young, Manny Trio, Jeff Cirillo, most of them infielders. Lou Gehrig is on this list. Lou Gehrig made a start at short after better than 1,400 games. That was back in 1934. And Darrell Evans held a record, probably that he wasn't even aware that he held, but I think Russell Martin just broke it today.
Well, what about Lou Gehrig, left-handed shortstop?
Yeah.
That's the interesting part of it. Manny Trio, he got a start at short, but he played, you know, forever at second base.
This is Michael Franco. You know, the other situation with Martin being in there at short, Solarte's so hot he's got to play right now. There's no DH, so Morales isn't playing here, and Devin Travis hasn't played the last couple of nights. Things change, of course, when the Blue Jays go up to Fenway on Monday.
Boston just got their second baseman back. Dustin Pedroia played today. He was activated yesterday, did not play.
Went 0 for 4 with a walk today. Pedroia in his return as Travis looks on. Be interesting to see when the Blue Jays get back into an American League Park, which will happen on Monday, how they structure all this. There's a play for Solarte. 4-3 for out number 2. You got to believe Morales will get back in there as the DH, at least on a fairly regular basis, if he keeps swinging the bat the way he did the last few days. But you know, if they're going to get Travis in there somewhere, then that means not playing Solarte or moving Solarte to third, which means maybe DHing Donaldson. And again, it's kind of a rotation that they've got to figure out on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I think everybody wants to see all the regulars back, including Grichuk, and then eventually Diaz, and finally Pierce, and eventually, hopefully, Troy Tulowitzki. And then you can really have some jammed-up situations, but you want your best players. There's no question about that. And, you know, you have to fight for playing time, and that's the way baseball's always been.
Curveball from Garcia misses down at in ball 1 to the Phillies shortstop Scott Kingery, who's really more of a natural second baseman, but has played short, third, left, right. We talked about him last night, a guy they signed to a 6-year $24 million deal before he ever made an appearance in a regular season game at the big league level. And he lines a ball that'll get down in left field for a base hit. He has terrific speed, big turn. He puts the brakes on and heads back, but Kingery's a guy you got to keep an eye on the base paths.
Kingery was a .284 hitter in the minor leagues, and he can really swing the bat. He gets a pitch up about belt high and rips it into left field. And then, as you mentioned, he's a threat to run. He had 70 stolen bases in the minor leagues, and he's just a good-looking player. And he caught fire in the spring. He won the job this spring. There's no question about it. I think he was a long shot at the start of spring. By the end of the spring, they had to figure out how to get him on the team.
And it sounds crazy, but the Phillies have guaranteed him $24 million over 6. If he doesn't pan out, it's $24 million over 6. They're not on the line for 50, 60, 70, 80 million, but they've got him locked up for 6 years with 3 then very lucrative option years after that, if they like him and want to keep picking up the options. Here's Jorge Alfaro, the catcher, and a chopper foul on the right side.
Well, here's the thing with Kingery. He's 24 years old. He came out of the University of Arizona, second-round pick in 2015. So you have to make a decision quickly. And I think the game is trending younger and younger, and we're seeing so many 19, 20, 21-year-olds coming to the big leagues that they have to make a decision on Kingery. You're going to waste another year, play his season of 24 years old in AAA. You got to find out what you have, especially if you're the Phillies.
If you don't get to the big leagues by the time you're 25, 26, there's another guy coming behind you who's 21, 22, who's trying to take your job, and youth wins the tiebreaker.
Every day of the week, especially now, because the game has become so athletic with players like Kingery and Lindor and Ramirez, and they're all over the place. We're going to see a bunch of them in Boston, and Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts and Andrew Benintendi, 23, 24, 25-year-old superstars.
Benintendi had a big game for the Red Sox today. They beat Atlanta 8-6. Boston's taken the first 2 from the Braves.
I think the biggest thing with a guy like Kingery is, in this day and age, you have to finish off prospects in the major leagues. There is no better way than to find out what you have than to have the prospects play against major league talent, because the gap between AAA and the big leagues has never been wider. The talent in AAA doesn't come close to what you see on a nightly basis in the big league. So if you've got a prospect like Kingery, why not bring him up with your best coaches and your best staff and have him finished off here in the majors?
Pretty good lead, and again, he's got good speed. 1 ball, 1 strike. And a swing and a miss. Change up there from Garcia, and out in front was Alfaro, 1-2. The Phillies, though, in an interesting spot where, coming into the season, I think a lot of people thought they were still in a developmental mode, and yeah, they could throw young players out there, but now they're off to such a great start. And Gabe Kapler, their manager from day one, has said, from day one in Clearwater in February, has said, I expect us to be in the playoffs at the end of this year. That's the mindset that he's always wanted to have. And now that they're 28-20, development has to take a bit of a backseat to putting your best 9 out there every day. Runner goes. And a swing and a miss. Garcia strikes out Alfaro. And that will end the bottom of the second. So far, so good in Garcia's return.
9 to earn My Blue Jays points just for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. Code must be entered by 4 a.m. Dan, we're seeing the pictures of so many Blue Jay fans here. Sam Gaviglio got caught up at first base because he heard a loud cheer when he got his hit yesterday. He thought the ball was caught, and then he realized, yeah, it's actually a home game, even on the road when you play for the Blue Jays.
Sammy. He'll learn. Lots of blue.
Yeah, we talked to Sam about that. He says, yeah, I thought that he caught it, and I heard everybody kind of yell, and then I realized he was chasing it, and they were yelling for me.
No scores. We go to the top of the third. Middle game of 3 between the Blue Jays and the Phillies. Luke Mailey's going to lead it off, then Jaime Garcia, and then back to the top of the order for Curtis Granderson. Someone sent me some interesting information, Buck, on the Lou Gehrig start at shortstop, which I think we should have mentioned in order to get it in the proper context. As Mailey takes a strike. Apparently, this was right near the end of Gehrig's streak. The Yankees were on the road. Gehrig was listed as the shortstop, hit in the first inning, got a base hit, got to first. They took him out for a pinch runner, so he never actually played shortstop.
So, interesting.
So, thank you for the update.
Yeah, that was just a little bit before my time in the big leagues.
It's Daniel McElroy sent that information in, so appreciate that. So with Martin, if Martin's going to be somewhere else more, then Luke Mailey's going to be behind the plate more. And certainly he's had obviously a terrific start to the season and would welcome more playing time. At the beginning of the year, the plan was Martin 2 out of 3, Mailey 1 out of 3. But Mailey's playing time could increase if this Martin infield thing becomes a bit more of a trend.
Well, and quite honestly, Luke's doing a heck of a job of catching and throwing very well. He's caught 33% of the runners, and he's still hitting over 300.
Hard hit ball, knocked down at short. Kingery long throw, right on the money to get him.
There are certain players you can see without really knowing who they are, and you go, that guy's a ball player. And that's Scott Kingery. We saw him in the spring, and every time we saw him, he did something that impressed you, and this is a nice play. And watch how patient he is. Knows he's got the catcher running, takes his time, and throws a strike to Santana to retire Mailey. I mean, there's just certain guys that are ball players, that they were born to be ball players. They understand the game. They got a terrific internal clock, and they've got all the skill set to play anywhere on the field.
One down, top of the third. Here's Jaime Garcia, left-handed batter, a 147 career hitter. And again, Garcia spending most of his big league career with the St. Louis Cardinals, so he is used to swinging the bat. He's had 307 at-bats in the big leagues, and there, as you can see, his career numbers 147, and he's hit 3 home runs.
He has 3 doubles, a triple, and 3 home runs. This year, he had 2 plate appearances in that game against the Mets and struck out both times.
The Blue Jay pitchers are 4 for 9 this year. Jay Happ's got 2 hits. Gaviglio had the double last night. And Deck McGuire had a hit.
The last time Jaime Garcia pitched against the Phillies, this was the same pitching matchup. That was last June 6th while he was still with Atlanta. He and Aaron Nola both pitched very well in that game that the Phillies would win.
Slightly open stance, kind of a ways off the plate as he lays off a little bit up and away. 2-2. Everything from Nola so far has been to the outside corner.
Yeah, there's a phrase in baseball when hitters have an open stance and then step in the bucket. You don't want to throw it where they left. If you throw it inside, you're playing it right into his hands. So when he strides away from it, he can barely reach that outside part of the plate.
Takes another one, and it's 3-2. Give him credit for his eye. Leadoff man Curtis Granderson in the on-deck circle. Clouding over a bit here in Philadelphia right now, but hopefully no issues. We did see a member of the grounds crew come out and talk to Joe West between innings, which is never an encouraging sign, but we're going to stay positive here this afternoon. Blue Jays have had their fair share of delays and postponements and makeup games. a swing and a foul tip to get him 2 down.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
Dan Shulman to Buck Martinez and Arash Madani here at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Blue Jays winning 6-5 last night. No score here in the third this afternoon. Bit of a late start, about a 25-minute delay. Although it didn't actually rain, they had the tarp on the field because they thought it was going to rain by the time they got it off. Got the pitchers out there warmed up. A bit of a delay. Once through the order, the Blue Jays don't have a hit off Nola. He walked Donaldson, but that's it. He set down the other 8 batters.
We mentioned how well Nola has pitched here at home. He's won each of his previous 5 home starts this season. And he's in a very small class of pitchers that have gone off to that kind of start as a Philly. Last time it happened was Roy Oswalt in 2010. And since June 22nd last season, Nola's 13-3. Pitching here at home in 16 home starts prior to this start this afternoon.
And he's the guy they really look at as their future ace. And the future may not be that far away.
Well, we have mentioned how well the Phillies starters have pitched, and they have really pitched well. And last night, getting 3 runs off of Zach Eflin in the first inning, that was a rarity. These Phillies are tough, especially here at home.
Full count on Granderson. Blue Jays will see another big arm tomorrow, and it's a Canadian arm. Victoria's Nick Pivetta, who's taken a big step forward in his second full season in the big leagues. He's on the mound tomorrow. He's in a groove right now. His last 3 starts have been tremendous. And a huge Blue Jay fan growing up as a kid into Victoria. Favorite players Roy Halladay and Vernon Wells. There's strike 3 call. Great late movement. And the Blue Jays go in order in the top of the 3rd. Him and bolster the back end of the rotation. The first start went very well. First 3 went pretty well. Last 5 not so much. Goes to the DL. Brief stay on the shelf. Shoulder appears to be fine. Back out there today, and they need him. Listen, some of the guys aren't doing as well as they would like to. Marcus Stroman indefinite right now on the DL. It's all hands on deck, all arms on deck in the rotation right now.
Yeah, that stretch of his last 5 games began at New York against the Yankees, and they hammered him. Made a couple of home runs. He threw 3 wild pitches in that game against the Yankees, and it was kind of downhill after that. Then he would face Texas, Cleveland, Seattle, and the Mets, and all those starts didn't go well. Walks were a problem for him in those 5 starts.
Aaron Nola, Garcia's counterpart, leads off the bottom of the third in a scoreless game. And Nola is not much of a hitter. He's 1 for 18 this year and an .067 hitter in his big league career, 8 for 119.
Nola was actually drafted out of high school by the Blue Jays. 2011, he was a 22nd round pick by the Blue Jays, but chose to go to LSU, which proved to be a pretty good move on his part because he became the #1 pick of the Phillies, 7th overall.
A chopper. Garcia's got it, has time, and makes the play.
Well, on the most recent homestand, the Blue Jays pitchers went through a battery of tests and drills just like that one that Garcia had to throw. Pitchers fielding practice. They did it before batting practice on the homestand and proved to be effective. Every once in a while, you got to have a little refresher. They do it all the time in spring training, but once the regular season hits, it's something that's forgotten about. But good on Pete Walker and Dane Johnson to have the pitchers out this last homestand and go over that once again.
Once through the order, Garcia's given up a couple of hits, hasn't walked anybody, which is a very good sign, and he has struck out 3. I think the walks have taken a couple of years off John Gibbons' life.
You think? Yeah. It really is something that managers absolutely hate. There's nothing you can do, and you lose your infielders as well. They're standing around waiting for strikes to be thrown, waiting for balls to be put in play, and walk after walk after walk. Everybody on the infield loses their feet. They just become stagnant. Nothing for them to do. They lose interest, and then when a ball is hit to them, they might not be able to make the play.
Cesar Hernandez grounded out to third his first time up. Russell Martin still hasn't had a play in this game. There at short, starting at short in the big leagues for the first time in his career. A high drive hit hard to left field. Smith back, still going back. A couple extra steps right at the end and had just enough room to make the catch.
It's a very small ballpark, and it's a hitter-friendly ballpark for sure. And you're right, it looked like it carried just a little bit further than Dwight Smith Jr. expected. He got a pretty good break off the bat, and then he would get to it. And Garcia, he's talking to himself about getting that ball down and left that breaking ball up in a danger zone.
Got away with one, which doesn't happen often, as Buck said, in this ballpark. 2 down and the base is empty. Still scoreless here in the bottom of the third. The batter is Rhys Hoskins, had a base hit into left field his first time up. That's an example there of how much natural movement there is on Garcia's fastball. How often do you see Martin or Maile set up with the glove in front of the chest and then reach 8-10 inches to their left to make the catch?
Yeah, and they both have distinct thoughts about how Garcia should use his fastball. He's got 2 very good fastballs, a cutter and a sinker. And there's one that was meant to be outside, but it moved all the way to the inside corner. But both Martin and Maile believe that Jaime Garcia should throw the sinker to the arm side and the cutter to the glove side, which makes a lot of sense because you can really drive it home to the glove side. That would be inside to the right-handed hitters, and that ball sinks naturally away to the arm side.
High in the air to medium depth center. Granderson's there. And it's a 3-up, 3 down, bottom of the third for Jaime Garcia. Still talking to himself, though, as he comes off the mound.
the office or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, and you can watch baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. You won't be seeing Andrew Miller for the next little while on MLB.tv. He is on the 10-day DL with right knee inflammation. Of course, the Cleveland reliever, Dan, has not been sharp of late, and he was dealing with a whole bunch of right knee issues last year.
Yeah, but a very tough year for Andrew Miller when healthy. Obviously, one of the very, very best relievers in the game. Here's Josh Donaldson leading off this scoreless game in the top of the fourth. Donaldson, Smoke, and Teoscar Hernandez. Josh walked and was forced at second to end the top of the first. Blue Jays still looking for their first hit off Aaron Nola. Meanwhile, in the first of two between the New Hampshire Fisher Cats and the Hartford Yard Goats, in Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s first at bat, an RBI single to score Jonathan Davis. Bo Bichette had walked to move Davis to second. Guerrero singled him in his 49th RBI in like what, 42 or 43 games, something like that. Guerrero's average, like, I thought it was ridiculous when we would say 408, 415. It's still climbing. It's at 438 right now.
Yeah, and it's not like he is a singles hitter that just happens to find a hole. He's driving the ball and hitting a lot of extra base hits. Just fun to watch him, isn't it?
3-0 swing and a pop up down the right side into foul territory. Santana makes a nice play.
There's a lot of room here by today's standards down the foul lines, and this ball is going to be a nice catch by Santana, but a lot of these ballparks don't have as much room in foul ground, and as much as it is a hitter's ballpark, those pop-ups in most ballparks would be out of play.
Now Justin Smoke, who struck out, saw a steady diet of off-speed pitches in his first at bat against Nola. I just looked at Guerrero's game logs. He was at 400 on May the 15th, 11 days ago. With the base hit that he's got so far today, he's now 22 for his last 39 to raise his average up to 438. It's crazy.
I think we all kind of marveled at the way he got off to a good start, being from the Dominican Republic and then playing in New Hampshire in April. It was cold and it was miserable, and everybody kind of thought, well, wait till it warms up, he'll really get hot. And has he ever?
Think he goes to Buffalo at some point soon?
I don't know. That's a hard, you know, I mean, why would he go to Buffalo? I just don't bring him up here. But I think the Blue Jays just want to see that he is, you know, like we said earlier in reference to Scott Kingery, the shortstop for the Phillies. I think you do the final finishing work in the majors. I think you are challenging hitters. And if they're as good as you think they are, and if they do have setbacks, they will make adjustments. Yeah, everybody's not going to come up and take off. Mike Trout didn't do that. Ken Griffey Jr. didn't do that. Giancarlo Stanton didn't do that. Aaron Judge struck out half the times he came to the plate his first year.
Carlos Delgado hit 8 home runs in about 3 weeks his first year. They got sent back down to the minors because he got so cold. Another curveball, and Smoke strikes out for the second time. Let's get an update with Jamie Campbell. The Rays coming into action today, basically the same record as the Blue Jays. They played 2 fewer games. Both teams are 3 games under 500. A patchwork rotation from day to day for Tampa Bay right now. A lot of work out of those relievers. As Sergio Romo will start again tomorrow after starting last night. Teoscar Hernandez bounced into a fielder's choice his first time up. Change up, and it's 0-2. His changeup doesn't dive that much. It moves, but it moves far in on the hands of the right-handed batters. It's got a lot more horizontal movement to it than vertical movement. Fastball jams him. Franco, the third baseman, and 3 up, 3 down again. 4 hitless innings for Nola so far.
Fans here from London, Ontario, signing for them, posing for photos. He was introduced to that young woman, 6-year-old Hayden, who informed everyone that she is a Josh Donaldson fan. Hayden is also a fighter, diagnosed with leukemia when she was 22 months old, battling ever since. She watches the Blue Jays a lot in the hospital, is in Philadelphia for 6 weeks doing CAR T-cell therapy. As Hayden's mom says, any day out of the hospital is a good day, and while visiting with Devin Travis was cool, guys, Hayden marched over to me and said, "You have any hookups for me to meet the Philly Fanatic?" So welcome, Hayden, watching your team.
Absolutely. Good for you. It's great to have you here, and it doesn't surprise me one bit that Devin Travis made his way out to talk to that youngster. That's terrific.
Bottom 4, Jaime Garcia on the mound in his return from the DL, and he'll face the 3, 4, 5 hitters, Herrera, Santana, and Altair. Donaldson again, even with the bag, well off the line. Martin shading up the middle at short. He's going to step back and look one over for ball 1. No full shift, so obviously the Blue Jays analytics suggest that Herrera hits the ball a fair bit to the left side, even on the infield.
Yeah, I think he stays on the ball very well, and he's a guy that's got power. He's got power the opposite field. He took that one all the way as well. And you remember he had that 41-game streak of reaching base this season earlier.
Well, he's been stepping out on each of the first 2 pitches. He does it here again. He's had no intent of swinging at any of the first 3 pitches.
Yeah, he just wants to see Garcia, and Jaime, to his credit, hasn't walked a batter yet today, and that had been a problem for him. He had 9 walks in his previous 12 innings, and there's another good pitch. I spoke to Luke Maley on a couple of different occasions about Jaime Garcia and his fastball. He said his fastball is ridiculous. He said it moves all over the place, and then you look at the average against his fastball, they're hitting 380 against it. And Luke was very surprised by that number. He said, I tell you, it's hard to catch, and he's got such great movement on it.
In the air to left field, Smith back, and on the warning track has room.
They're talking about the fastball. He's got a great sinker. His fastball cuts. He'll throw a good changeup, but his fastball, hitters have averaged 380. Only Matt Moore of the Rangers has a higher opponent's batting average on fastballs. And he is well ahead of Ian Kennedy and Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn throws a very straight fastball, which doesn't surprise you if he's not locating. It's going to hit hard. But it's surprising that Garcia's fastball with so much movement would get hit.
Well, we told the story a couple of weeks ago that, let's say Martin is the catcher, but he's the last batter in the inning for the Blue Jays. So Maley has to go out and catch the warm-up pitches for Garcia before the next inning. This is something catchers do all the time. Maley, if he's catching any of the other pitchers on the staff, just goes out there and catches them. As Granderson looks like he'll have a play here in right center. No, it'll be Hernandez, 2 down. Maley will just go out there and catch them. When Garcia's throwing the warm-up pitches, he brings his mask with him because the ball moves so much.
Yeah, and it's always been a strength of Garcia. Terrific movement on all of his pitches. And Maley, well aware you can't take one in the chops when you're going out there in between innings. So he throws the mask on before he goes out to warm up Jaime Garcia when he's not catching him in the game.
6 in a row set down by Garcia now. The last 4 have been on fly balls. And generally he's a big ground ball guy because of the sink and movement on his pitches. But he's getting the job done today. 2 hits, no walks, no runs, 3 strikeouts in a scoreless game. Aaron Altair. Also, Martin's probably out there thinking, man, what's the big deal about it? They don't hit me the ball. I can. I'm so excited to play short.
Yeah, it's just good the way it is, Russell.
Yeah.
Just stay right there. You're looking real good at short.
Left center. Granderson on the run. Will get there. Making a backhanded catch on the warning track. Just enough wheels to get there. 3 up, 3 down on some pretty loud fly balls here in the bottom of the 4th, but they all find gloves. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Jamie Campbell, Joe Siddle in the Samsung broadcast studio. Ballpark. Look at these last 13 home starts, obviously going well back into last season. 11-2 with a 2.34 ERA here in this ballpark. In fact, he's gone 6 or more innings in 20 straight home starts. Only the 6th Philly ever to do that, and the other 5 names are pretty great. Steve Carlton, Curt Schilling, Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, and Grover Cleveland Alexander. That's some pretty good company.
That's some excellent company. Carlton did it 5 times, which is remarkable. But to have that kind of stretch in a hitter's ballpark, pretty terrific.
Solarte rips one foul.
If Nola wins his game today, he'll become the first Phillies pitcher to win his first 6 starts at home since 1981. When Carlton won 7 to start the season at home.
Now, you didn't see much at all of Carlton, right? You're American League, he's National League.
I saw him in Minnesota when he was there at the end of his career, and I saw him in spring training.
Up the middle, Kingery scooped at first by Santana.
Well, the Blue Jays don't have any hits, and Kingery's made a couple of fine defensive plays. He made one at straightaway shortstop earlier in the game, and this time he was shaded to the first base side of second, and he ranges to his right, and again, patient, understanding he's got the arm strength to make the off-balance throw, and he makes a strong throw, and then he gets some help over at first from Santana. Terrific play on both ends.
So just 1 walk allowed. That's it through 4 1/3 by Nola. And here's Martin, his second at bat. Grounded out to third his first time up. Went 1 for 4 with an RBI single last night.
The Phillies as a team have been terrific in pitching to right-handed hitters this season. The right-handed hitters have been held to a .216 average. And they don't walk anybody. No club has walked fewer right-handed hitters than the Phillies.
Maybe one of the reasons why with Nola, he's got great numbers against righties, why John Gibbons picked today to sit Pilar and get Smith and Granderson in there together. May as well load up with as many lefties as you can. Nola just dominates right-handed batters. That is a foul ball.
Well, Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, is in his first full season. He had been the bullpen coach, and now he's the pitching coach, but he's got a lot of experience. He was the pitching coach for 5 years in Philadelphia. He was pitching coach in Florida for a while. He spent 3 years in Baltimore. And there he is. Rick has done a terrific job with his coaching staff. And he had Marco Estrada in Milwaukee when they were there with the Brewers. And of course, the changeup has been a big part of Nolan's development.
Missed just inside with that running fastball. He's got a nice mix, got a nice assortment of pitches, and his command has been excellent.
It's a simple approach. It's fastball, curveball, and changeup, and it all gets down to your command, where you can spot that pitch wherever you want it. Like that.
That is his 62nd strikeout on the season to just 15 walks. What's the ceiling for this guy, Buck, as we look at what Nola's done year to year, and again, still a young guy?
Yeah, I don't think anybody is ready to set a ceiling. He's only 24 years old, and you see he has gotten better and better each season. 2016, he's up over 4.5. He drops to 3.5, down to 2.5, and this month of May, his ERA just over 2, and it's going to drop under that if he keeps throwing like this today. Obviously, the Blue Jays don't have any hits yet, let alone runs. But Nola, and you know, you got to like the approach, because everybody said, well, you got to cut it, you got to throw a splitter, and you got to throw a curveball and a slider and everything else. He throws fastball, curveball, changeup. It's all about mastering 3 pitches. It's going to be another changeup. But he's got a perfect build for a pitcher. 6'2", weighs over 200 pounds. But I like his delivery. In this day and age, so many people are going to that basic setup like you were pitching out of the stretch all the time, but he develops a lot of momentum and gets his legs incorporated into his delivery, which allows him to really get a lot of movement toward the plate.
But it doesn't look like his arm's going to fly off when he pitches. He's not a max effort guy.
No, he's under control. So with that, you expect him to be efficient. He came into this game with the 8th best pitches per innings ratio in the majors.
2 down and the bases empty, no score. The foul up by Smith, 2-2.
For so many years, when you watch great pitchers like Drysdale and Koufax and Spawn and all Don Sutton and Jim Palmer, they all had a classic windup. They pumped their hands went over their head, their legs got involved, and they would step to the side of the rubber, and then they would drive home. I think that takes a lot of pressure off your arm.
Tried to backdoor that curveball, but he missed.
There's a rhythm to his leg. When he picks up his leg, it's almost like he's gathering momentum when he drives that leg up, gets to the top of that delivery, and then breaks his hands over his knee. It's a classic delivery.
75 pitches through 4 2/3 no-hit innings. And number 76 ends the top of the 5th. Strikeout number 6 for Aaron Nola.
The prestigious Indy 500 tomorrow on Sportsnet 1, Sportsnet 360, and City. 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. Guys?
There's some Blue Jay fans that I know very well. My son and my granddaughter having a good time here in Philadelphia. So we'll have a chance to have a nice dinner tonight.
Nice.
Catch up.
Casey, back in the day, spent a couple of years. How many? 2 years, 3 years in the Blue Jays
He
organization?
played 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah. Actually got to put him in a game in spring training.
Nice. Pretty cool dad moment.
That was the best moment for sure.
Maikel Franco leads off the bottom of the 5th against Jaime Garcia, who's given up a couple of hits, hasn't walked anybody. Look at that pitch count. That was just his 42nd pitch of the ball game. We have ourselves an old-fashioned pitcher's duel going on here.
Yeah, and they both pitched into the 5th.
We got ourselves a
What in the world's going on here?
a newfangled modern pitcher's duel. Hard hit ball left field and gone. Number 8 on the season for Maikel Franco. 1-0 Phillies.
It's just the second hit for Franco against Jaime Garcia. Is now 2 for 8. First run of the ball game for Franco. His 31st RBI comes on his 8th home run of the season. A low line drive into the first row into the seats in left field. Out over the plate, not a bad pitch, just maybe a little bit up more than Garcia wanted it, and Franco gets a hold of it and drives it out of the ballpark.
Well, Garcia had been giving up a lot of fairly loud fly ball outs in the last couple of innings, and it finally caught up to him here leading off the bottom of the 5th. Scott Kingery takes a strike. He had a base hit his first time up. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for the Phillies, and nothing but zeros so far for the Blue Jays. Nola has no hit them through 5, but he's thrown 76 pitches. If the Blue Jays don't get a hit in the next inning or two, Gabe Kapler may have to make a decision. I think we all know what it would be. He's not going to let Nola go out there and throw 125, 130 pitches today. You can see the greenish socks that Kingery has on, different color of the lettering and the hats. This is all how baseball is commemorating Memorial Day today, tomorrow, and I believe Tuesday as well. I think it's a 3-day thing. Or is it ending tomorrow? But for multiple days for sure, baseball commemorating Memorial Day with special jerseys, socks, whatever the players want to wear, I guess. And you can see the differences in both teams' uniforms.
Yeah, then they're highlighted with that olive green color, commemorate Memorial Day, and I believe they're just going to wear them today and tomorrow. I don't know that they're going to continue to wear them in Boston for the first day on Memorial Day on Monday.
Fourth strikeout of the day for Garcia. And here's Jorge Alfaro, the catcher, who struck out back in the 2nd. And Russell Martin's going to get a play. And makes a good play with a long, true throw to get him 2 down.
No problem at all for Russell Martin. He went to the backhand. He had a foot on the grass and planted that right foot and fired a strong throw across the diamond in time. He's been waiting for that all afternoon. Hit me one, hit me one. And they finally hit him one to his right. Nice play on the backhand. Then he takes his time, makes his strong throws. Never had any problems with the arm strength. But you can see how his rhythm and everything very classic. Jaime Garcia appreciates the effort of his former catcher, now his shortstop.
2 down. Here's Nola. I'm sure Russell will be asked after the game if his heart was beating a little bit more quickly when that ball was on the way out, or if it's just another day at the office for him.
Well, I don't know what he's going to say, but I know what the real feeling is, that yeah, your heart is beating quickly that first time you get a ball hit to you when you're doing something you're not used to be doing. And whether it's for pitcher running the bases or pitcher getting a base hit, you're just out of your comfort level. I
think we'll find out a lot more in the next 3-4 days if if Gibby puts him out there again tomorrow or Monday or something like that, then I think we can make certain assumptions. Although again, when Diaz comes back, that all could change. This could be kind of a stopgap thing until Diaz is healthy. Now Solarte off balance, big stretch, smoke, and the Phillies are retired, but they do get a run on the leadoff home run this half inning from Maikel Franco. 1-0 Philadelphia. And the Fanatic is up to his old tricks again. Like, think she's going to put that thing back on her head?
Everything he does is so spontaneous with whoever he's dealing with. Whenever there's a hat involved or anything like that, and he's so spontaneous. He picks up on the action of the game. He moves around the ballpark, obviously. He's in the second deck now, taking up a lot of space.
Aaron Nola has not given up a hit yet. Walked one, struck out 7. 76 pitches. And I'm trying to see, Buck, if there were any hard hit balls. I don't see one anywhere.
Well, there were a couple of good plays by Kingery. The ball in the hole at shortstop, and then he made one up the middle on Solarte. And yeah, he made a couple of good plays up the middle. When he was in a shift against Solarte starting the 5th inning, he went to his right behind second base and made a nice throw. But there's nothing that's really been, oh my gosh, there's a hit. Oh no, it's a great defensive play. We haven't seen that yet.
Luke Mailey's going to lead it off, and Jaime Garcia is out in the on-deck circle right now. Due up second here this half inning, and then top of the order for Curtis Granderson. The only base runner was the Donaldson walk with one out way back in the first. Curveball for a strike. The Blue Jays have not hit a fly ball to the outfield today. There was one pop-up. There's only one ball in the air. That was off the bat of Donaldson, and Santana ranged into foul territory down the line. The first base side of the field and made the catch. None of the outfielders have had a putout yet in this game for the Phillies.
Now, and you see the velocity of that last strike, a fastball at 91 miles an hour, and he's just really pitching like he's sitting in a rocking chair. He's in a very good rhythm, a very good tempo. Not trying to overthrow any of his pitches.
Just missed low with a changeup. And he got him. Fastball at the knees. Strikeout. Number 7 now. Not even number 8.
Save big at the outdoor living event at Home Hardware, on from May 16th to June 5th. Here's how.
I shortchanged him. That's 8 strikeouts now for Nola, including the last 3 batters. Here's Jaime Garcia, the pitcher who struck out on his first at bat today. Nola struck out 12 against the Giants 3 starts ago. He's already got 8 through 5 1/3 here today. 6'2", 200 out of LSU, which is the same school that Philadelphia 76ers star Ben Simmons attended for 1 year in college. And Simmons was here to throw out the first pitch today.
Yeah, it probably wasn't an accident that he chose today to throw out the first pitch with Nola starting.
Yeah.
Nola's highest pitch count of the season, 109 pitches in that game you were talking about when he struck out 12. That was over a span of 7 innings. We mentioned it, Nola for the season averaging 14.6 pitches per inning. And that's the 8th best ratio in the major leagues. And that's exactly what you want from your pitchers. Under 15 pitches, that'll take them deep into a ball game, get in 7th and sometimes the 8th.
And there's strikeout number 9. And this is not an aberration, although maybe hitting them to this point is an aberration. But point being, this guy's good. He is 5th in the National League in ERA, with Jacob deGrom and Carlos Martinez way out ahead of the pack.
Yeah, he is right there with the big boys. Miles Michaelos of the Cardinals. Boy, what a comeback season he's had after spending a couple years in Japan. He's pitching very well, as is his teammate Carlos Martinez.
Cardinals and what looks like it might be a 3, maybe 4 team race in that National League Central, though Milwaukee looks like they've got a terrific team. Curtis Granderson, who has struck out in both at bats tonight, takes a first pitch strike. Even the misses are good misses.
Yeah, they are good misses, and you're right. He hasn't missed over the heart of the plate. When he misses, it's just a ball or two out of the strike zone. Whether it's just a bit low or just off the plate, inside or outside, he hasn't missed over the heart of the plate.
Again, great movement on that 2-seam fastball. That's what he got Granderson on back in the 3rd.
The Blue Jays scored 6 runs on 11 hits, and Smoke hit a home run in last night's game. So it's not like this is a team that's not swinging the bats pretty well, but no hits to this point.
And Nola strikes out the side. He's got 10 strikeouts through 6 hitless innings here this afternoon. has arrived here in Philadelphia. It's coming down hard right now, and the tarp is going to go on the field, and we're going to go into a rain delay as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, or as we were trying to go to the bottom of the 6th inning, with the Phillies leading 1-0 and Aaron Nola throwing a no-hitter through 6 innings. But this is definitely enough rain to warrant a delay and get that tarp on the field as quickly as possible. Bad break for Nola.
Bad break for Nola, and you just hope it doesn't last long. It doesn't look like there's a real thick, heavy cloud cover. It's like a passing thunderstorm. A summertime thunderstorm for sure. It's been hot and muggy all afternoon here in Philadelphia.
Joe West looking at the radar with the head groundskeeper here in Philadelphia just a few moments ago. And as we look out beyond the center field fence, we can still see some blue sky, but right over the ballpark, you can see it there on your screen, but right over the ballpark, it is raining right now, and raining hard enough to get the tarp of the field, and hopefully this will be something quick.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and you know, I think everybody's in the spirit of this game right now, and we want to see it continue. It's 1-0 on a home run by Michael Franco. That's the only run of the ball game. Both pitchers have thrown the ball very well. I think the Blue Jays have to be very pleased with the return of Jaime Garcia. He hasn't walked a batter today, and that was a big issue with him.
So Gibby and Pete Walker will strategize during the rain delay to decide what to do with their starting pitcher. No doubt that the Phillies staff will do the same. Joe West is in charge. You can see him there in the dugout. And we are in a rain delay here in Philadelphia. We'll keep you posted, but for now, let's send you back to Jamie Campbell. Garcia's getting some warm-up tosses. The tarp is long gone. They did a good job. They were still rolling up the tarp about where the shortstop and the third baseman are. Garcia was already taking his warm-up tosses. They want to keep this one moving, and if there's any other threat of weather coming in, they want to keep it going. Obviously, if you're Aaron Nola and the Phillies, you want to keep it going too, with him not having allowed a hit through 6 innings. I wouldn't think it's a long enough delay to warrant him coming out of the game. I would think he'd be back in the game as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a long delay at all. And generally, you get up 35, 40 minutes, then pitching coaches start to think about shutting his starter down. But I don't think that was long enough delay to consider that right now.
So here we go. This will be the first pitch of the bottom of the 6th. The delay began between innings. 1-0 on the 5th inning. Maikel Franco home run off Jaime Garcia. That's it. Top of the order, Cesar Hernandez, Rhys Hoskins, and Odubel Herrera. A ground out and a fly ball to left for Hernandez. And a ground ball to Donaldson. Nice big hop on the infield grass and an easy play for out number 1.
Jaime Garcia coming into this game had averaged 18.8 pitches per inning. He started this inning having thrown just 52 pitches through 5 innings. That's a tremendous ratio. He's been very, very economical. And, you know, and maybe his problems were directly related to that shoulder issue. And he didn't say anything about it in his last 3 starts. But over the course of those 3 starts, as we mentioned earlier, a total of 12 innings. And he walked 9 batters in those 12 innings. But today he hasn't walked a batter.
Good job by Sam Gaviglio in his second start for the Blue Jays last night. He got the win, 3 runs in 6 innings. And I don't know about you, we spent so much time at the beginning of the year talking about number 1 starter, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once the season gets going, how they're pitching determines who's where in the rotation. I don't think it matters whether Garcia's 5, 4, 3, whatever he is, but they need him. They need him to go out there and give him a chance to win ball games.
Yeah, the Blue Jays, if they're going to get back into contention, if they're going to get to 500, they're going to do it by good starts like this. And Gaviglio gave him a good start last night, and Garcia has done his part here this afternoon to this point. And as long as your pitchers control the game, your starters especially, then you're going to be in every ball game. And certainly with this Blue Jays lineup and the fact that they've got guys that can hit some home runs, you stay close and you can win any ball game as long as your starter holds the opponents down.
Jay Happ is on the mound tomorrow afternoon to wrap up this 3-game set here in Philly. 0-2.
Well, one thing that we have seen Garcia do is throw enough strikes where the Philly hitters are swinging a lot of pitches. He was so inconsistent with his ability to throw strikes early in the season that pitchers would lay off, and then when he did throw one, it was over the heart of the plate and they hit it hard. I don't even think the home run that Franco hit in the 5th inning was a bad pitch. I think Franco just made a good swing on a pretty good pitch.
Just outside, says Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire. You like when an umpire says ball outside instead of just ball?
Yeah, I do. I just think it really punctuate his call. And just go ahead and say, yeah, it's outside. I got it off the plate. Instead of just saying ball, it just eliminates any concern as to whether it was high or low, but it's out the plate, outside.
Mostly sunny skies overhead right now after that brief rain shower. Reaching for it, a pop-up. Donaldson is there in foul territory, and the shortstop's going to call him off to make the catch.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Great city of Philadelphia, where the Blue Jays are this weekend. And Jaime Garcia just 60 pitches now through 5 2/3. By the way, I asked Russell Martin before the game. Same glove as third base for shortstop. It's the same glove, and it's his glove. It's broken in the way that he likes it. So he's out there using something that he's familiar with. He's going to hear it from Donaldson for calling him off on that pop-up.
Let the sure man have it, Josh.
Here's Odubel Herrera 0 for 2. On the verge of being 0 for 3. 4-3 on the putout. Jaime Garcia is getting it done. Can the Blue Jays offense come to life against Aaron Nola.
Tomorrow, what a season it has been for him after making his Phillies debut late last April. Pivetta, the only pitcher in the National League this year with at least 60 strikeouts and no more than 12 walks. I spoke with Nick yesterday. He began by saying, Sunday is just another game. But then he stopped himself and admitted, it is a very pivotal moment for me, he said. It's going up against my country's team. I am really excited to play those guys. Year 2 in the bigs for Pivetta, Dan, and he says fastball consistency has been crucial for him.
All right, Arash, and he told me yesterday as well, really hoping he gets a chance to pitch in Toronto when the Phillies are there at the end of August. Yeah, Victoria and Toronto were a long ways apart, but as we all know, Blue Jay fans from coast to coast, and young Nick Pivetta was a huge Blue Jay fan growing up. Meanwhile, his teammate Aaron Nola has not allowed a hit yet. 88 pitches, though, through 6. He struck out 10. Donaldson, Smoke, and Teoscar Hernandez here in the 7th. And this is where it gets tricky for a manager, because they don't want a kid to throw 120, 125 pitches. And at some point, even if they're still throwing a no-hitter, they might have to get somebody up in the bullpen because they don't want that pitch count to get too high. But of course, the pitcher can see that somebody is up in the bullpen. You don't want to mess with his psyche at all, but that's just the way the game works.
Yeah, I think you'd have to leave it up to the manager, the pitching coach, and the pitcher, and just let your eyes tell you what you think you should do from this point. He certainly hasn't struggled. He hasn't thrown a stressful pitch all afternoon. And Greg Maddux always talked about that when they started to talk about pitch count. He said, I could throw 88 pitches in a tight ball game and work my tail off. Or I could throw 130 pitches and be breezing and think about maybe 15, 20 more pitches. It just depends from game to game.
The difference now is even if you're breezing, they don't let you get to 130.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, I just don't. There's no proof. There's no history. There's no tests that prove that if you throw that many pitches, you're going to get hurt. Pitchers get hurt all the time. And certainly it doesn't look like there's anything concerning Aaron Nola right now other than throwing strike after strike with all of his pitches.
One hopper back to the mound. Donaldson slams down the bat in disgust.
Well, this looked like it had a chance to get past Nola into the middle of the infield, and Donaldson slams his bat down as he makes his way up the first baseline. Nolan in good position to field that ball. Waits on Santana, and Donaldson said, hey, maybe I got one there, and then realized that the pitcher caught it.
6 1/3 no-hit innings. Justin Smoke, who has struck out twice, both times swinging against Nola today. 2 of the 10 that Nola has in the afternoon. There's a chance Gabe Kapler is going to have to make a difficult decision here because he's already at 94 and he's in the 7th. And this is where, and you don't want to admit this out loud, but if you're Gabe Kapler, I mean, you want to win the game first and foremost. But it almost makes your life easier if he gives up a base hit. Because then if you take him out, they don't get on your case nearly as much.
No, and you're right, and it's going to be a difficult decision. Obviously, Gabe Kapler is concerned about the long term mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have a pitch throw no-hitter, but he wants Aaron Nola to pitch 10 years for the Phillies. So you can bet, and we have learned this from some of the coaches, some of the players we've talked to this weekend about Gabe Kapler. He listens to a lot of his advisors, his coaches. And he's got some good ones on his staff. We mentioned Rick Kranitz, a longtime pitching coach. He's got Rob Thompson on the bench with him as his bench coach. He's got good coaches. And, you know, that's part of putting a staff together. Guys you can trust, guys that you know that are in the game with you. And Rob Thompson's been doing this a long time.
3-1. And a curveball fouled off. Kapler had a rough first few days in Philadelphia. Took Nola out of a game after only 58 pitches on opening day. Brought a rookie left-hander in to face Freddie Freeman. Freeman took him deep, but they were playing the matchups. And then had a moment where he came out to the mound to call a reliever to come in and nobody was warming up. But he admits he has learned a lot since those first few days. Inside for ball 4. Crowd didn't like it, but it certainly did look like the correct call. While they boo here, let's go back to Jamie. All right, Jamie, thank you. Blue Jays saw him and his mustache last week. And a guy not overpowering, but another guy who really knows how to pitch.
Pitching a lot like Aaron Nola. 102 pitches in that 9-inning complete game. No walks and 5 strikeouts.
Teoscar Hernandez, runner at first, 1 out, 100 pitches. Bullpen quiet. No hitter intact.
Well, James Paxton threw the no-hitter against the Blue Jays on May 8th. He threw 99 pitches in that game. He walked 3 and struck out 7. So the Blue Jays have been down this road before.
Hernandez with a fly ball to left center field. It's hanging up. Herrera's there, and that's the second out.
Well, you can certainly sense all the players on the field know what's going on. Herrera came over quickly to call for the ball, make sure that Hoskins heard him so there was no confusion. But all the players know that the Blue Jays don't have any hits, and there's a very demonstrative center fielder saying, I got it, and Hoskins pulls out of his way.
Well, now maybe the hottest hitter the Blue Jays have, Yangervis Solarte. 0 for 2 today, but there are a lot of 0 for 2s and a few 0 for 3s here today. Solarte came into the game very hot. Smokes at first. 2 down. Just a 1-0 game. And after pitch 102, it looks like, there's a little activity right now. One of the great names in Major League Baseball, that is Sir Anthony Dominguez, who has been a revelation, a guy who's just burst upon the scene, and I mean, they hardly touch him. He's worked his way into a very prominent role, a lot of times as the primary setup man for the Phillies. Throw behind Smoke, and he's back in.
For his career, Aaron Nola, the most pitches he's thrown in the game, 113 pitches. And that was last year in June in Seattle against the Mariners over 7 innings. So they're going to be very prudent with this decision. He hasn't had that many games in which he's thrown over 100 pitches.
Yeah, he would need about an out per pitch the rest of the way, I think, to complete this game. He's still got 7 outs to go, and they're just not going to mess with the health of such a big part of their future. As much as it probably pains Gabe Kapler to make that decision. 3-0.
That's why the managers make the big bucks. They got to make tough decisions.
Remember, Don Mattingly had it very early in his tenure. Who was Mattingly, or was it Roberts? Ross Stripling threw a no-hitter.
It was Roberts. Yeah.
It was Roberts.
Yeah.
Stripling took a no-hitter deep into the game. They had to take him out.
Yep. Now the Alzheimer is Preston Gomez. The late Preston Gomez in San Diego took out Clay Kirby in a 9th inning of a no-hitter, and the Padres have still not thrown a no-hitter.
3-0 green light, and that's pulled foul.
Clay Kirby was a very young, promising starting pitcher, and he was already well established. But at the same time, I believe he was 21 or 22 when he was throwing a no-hitter, and they took him out of the game.
This could be last batter no matter what happens. If he gets him out, if he gives up a hit, or if he walks him. Up to Kapler to decide how comfortable he is letting Nola's pitch count fly. And again, if this is 25 years ago, we're not even having this conversation.
Yeah, no. It's like Johan Santana, what he threw 145.
Yeah.
Edwin Jackson.
But Terry Collins was worried during that game about leaving him in, but the Mets had never had a no-hitter, and Santana had some real issues after that no-hitter.
There have been 24 no-hit bids through 6 innings this season, matching the entire season from a year ago.
Smoke will be on the move. 3-2, curveball outside, ball 4. And we'll keep an eye on Kapler and see if he'll let Nola face another batter.
Well, you can see he's getting some advice from both sides. What do you think, man? That's Rob Thompson, Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach, behind him. And to his credit, he has listened to his coaches, and he's going to make a move.
Well, let's wait and see.
This is interesting.
Yeah, this could just be a chat.
He's running out there as if he's going to ask him how you feeling.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think Nolan's going to say?
Nolan's going to say, I feel great. Kapler's going to walk back to the dugout. It'll be a huge ovation.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to let him decide. And Nola's going to stay in the game. Good move.
Again, at this point, there is no shot he's going 9, but Kapler's going to give him a shot to go 7.
Well, it's really interesting, too, because had he taken him out, he could end up losing the game because there's 2 runners on base. So you'd let him determine his own fate here instead of bringing in a reliever. And if he gives up a hit, a home run, and he goes behind, he loses the game, and he's not even in the game at that point.
Russell Martin's 0 for 2 and has had 2 plays out at short, a ground ball and a pop-up. Wow, right at the knees. Just a little bit lower, but low enough for it to be a ball. Trying to stay away from Martin as he has most of the day. Martin's pulled a ground ball to third and then was called out on strikes.
Oh, he got a good pitch to hit. That ball stayed on the inner part of the plate, a breaking ball.
And they're getting to their feet here in Philadelphia for Nola. Trying to get through the 7th without allowing a hit. Got another pitch to hit.
Yeah, I did. That breaking ball is meant to be away, and it tells me he's kind of running out of gas. He's not being able to finish that breaking ball. So right here, if I'm catching him, I'm a follower. I'm going to stay away with a fastball or a changeup. I'm not going to throw him another breaking ball because he's hung the last 2.
Fastball just outside. It's turning nasty here at Citizens Bank Park right now. All the umpires in the stands.
Hey, it's Philadelphia.
That's true.
They're passionate about their teams.
Smoke out at second. Solarte at first. 2 down. And a base hit into left field. Smoke is going to round third and rumble home as Martin's RBI single ties the game.
Now, Russell Martin had an RBI single in the 5th inning in last night's game. He drove in the 6th run of the ball game, which proved to be the difference in that win. And now Kapler's going to make a move here for sure. He's coming out of the dugout, and he's got to make a change now.
And Nola's about to get one of the biggest ovations of his young career. Nice job, great job, pat on the back, standing ovation. And Russell Martin's clapping.
Standing ovation from the opposing player. It's pretty odd and pretty awesome at the same time.
The Blue Jays have tied it on their first hit of the afternoon, and the Phillies are going to the bullpen. Going to be able to go 9 anyways with a pitch count, but the pitch before that got the Philly fans so upset was that fastball, which did appear to be outside. It's close, and it'll get called to strike every now and again. And then Martin took advantage.
Yeah, he sure did. And there was another breaking ball. He went back to the breaking ball and stayed on the inside part of the plate. It actually got away with 2 similar pitches in that at bat to Martin. And Russell fouled him off, but this time he was able to pull it through the hole on the left side, and Nolan is knocked out of the game. Another big hit for Russell Martin. He had an RBI single last night, and now the Blue Jays will deal with the new pitcher, Sir Anthony Dominguez, making his 8th appearance of the season. He's allowed just 1 hit. The only hit he's given up was to Ozzie Albies of the Braves over the course of his 9 innings. 1 hit, and he can throw it hard, upwards of 99 miles an hour.
23-year-old out of the Dominican Republic, who misses low ball 1 to Dwight Smith Jr. So 2 walks and then the base hit by Martin have tied the game at 1 here in the 7th. Smith has grounded out and struck out.
I like this matchup for Smith. I think he can get on this fastball.
Back to the mound. Dominguez has it, and that is all. But the Blue Jays tie it. Russell Martin drives in the run. 1-1, 7th inning stretch.
The game up, he came out and actually gave a fist bump to Jaime Garcia, and he returned the favor as we get into the 7th inning, and you get a chance to meet Russell Martin if you sign up for the 55 Poker Classic, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity on the field at the Rogers Center. The 55 Poker Classic Tournament tickets are on sale now. jayscare.com/poker to sign up and secure your spot today. Dan.
All right, Arash, thank you. Martin out at shortstop today, and he's got the RBI single that has tied the game. And Jaime Garcia is going to try to pitch into the 7th inning for the first time as a Blue Jay. He's given up just a run on 3 hits, and he has been extremely efficient. Just 61 pitches. The 1-run scoring on a home run by Michael Franco back in the 5th. Franco due up 3rd this inning. This is Carlos Santana. Santana, Altair, and Franco. For Nola, 6 2/3, 1 hit, 1 run earned, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts, 113 pitches, 68 strikes. You said 24 times a pitcher's taken a no-hitter through 6 innings
this year. That matches the total for the entire season a year ago.
It's like 3 a week.
Yeah.
So almost every second day somebody's taking
a no-hitter into the 6th. It's been pretty remarkable this season. And it has a lot to do with the strikeouts. You know, the month of April there were more strikeouts than base hits in all of baseball.
One and 2, the count on Santana, who struck out and flied out. And he chases a changeup up and away for the first out. Let's go to Jamie. A glorious moment in baseball history.
Everybody can remember that. Gonzaga was playing for the Rangers. The ball hit right off his head and bounced out of the ballpark.
Here's Aaron Altair, who has struck out and flied out. Hit a ball a long way to left center field. Curtis Granderson got after it, caught up to it, reached out, made a backhanded grab. No activity in the Blue Jay bullpen. A couple people are standing out there right now, but nobody's throwing. And again, the pitch count's very low for Garcia. His stuff's still good.
Yeah, it's very good, and late movement on everything he throws. But the biggest thing is the fact that he has been in the strike zone consistently. He has not walked a batter today. He's allowed only 3 hits. Pete Welker has to be thrilled with what he has gotten today.
Just missed low. All 5 of Garcia's strikeouts today have been swinging. And since the home run, the ball's been on the ground. A lot of ground balls. He went through a stretch immediately preceding the home run where there were 5 consecutive fly ball outs, and some of them hard hit. Getting the ball down now. Got that one up a little bit, but a ground ball down to third. Donaldson with time. 2 down.
Yeah, the only hard hit ball was the home run by Franco, and it wasn't a bad pitch. It was a pitch that was on the outer part of the plate. Fastball that was away. And now he'll do with Franco here in a 1-1 ball game with 2 outs in the 7th.
Franco grounding out on his first at bat before hitting the home run. 6-5 win for the Blue Jays last night, and a 1-1 game here today. You can see Kevin Pillar walking around in the dugout. Remember, he's not in the starting lineup. At National League game, you got to be ready if you're on the bench. Russell Martin, a diving attempt to his left, can't get there. That'll be a base hit for Franco.
Yeah, they were playing Martin in the hole, anticipating Franco would pull the ball, but he hit it to Martin's left, and Russell kind of got a late break, and by the time he dives, the ball was past him into the outfield. So a 2-out single for Franco. That's the 4th hit, and Franco has 2 of them.
So the inning continues with Franco at first. And the batter was Scott Kingery, who's had a base hit. He's also struck out. Going to try to bunt his way aboard, and he's going to do it. Great bunt, great speed, no chance.
We've seen Kingery do a little bit of everything today. Made a couple of good defensive plays in the field, playing at shortstop. And he had a base hit, a clean single into left field back in the second. And here he drops down a beauty. He squares around early. Didn't really wait a long time, but he bunts it in a perfect spot. The only man that had a chance to make a play was the pitcher. Donaldson is deep at third with 2 outs, not anticipating a bunt. And Kingery picked up on that and dropped it just up the third baseline. Terrific bunt.
Danny Barnes up in the bullpen. Clippard and Shapiro were used last night. First and second with 2 down. The Blue Jays just tied in the top half of the inning. And the Phillies trying to reclaim the lead here in the bottom half. They're out hitting the Jays 5-1 now. Alfaro's 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out. Garcia, by the way, is due up second in the top half of the 8th inning. Again, something you always got to consider in a National League park. Weak ground ball. Garcia's got it. He'll put the tag on Alfaro, and that'll end it. 1 unassisted as the Phillies will leave a couple of men on. Could be it for Garcia. 7 terrific innings here today. Catch is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. We are tied at 1 going to the top of the 8th inning. Jaime Garcia, 7 great innings, and he doesn't even want to look at John Gibbons. Now again, American League Park, he's going back out there.
Yeah, his spot is second in the batting order, and obviously he's not real pleased about the decision, but he has been terrific. He didn't walk a batter, and he didn't have a walk in his last start. Last 2 starts. I'll check that. No, he's walked a batter in every start this season except this one today.
Here's Luke Maile leading it off against Sir Anthony Dominguez. And Gibby will be asked after the game, I'm sure, about taking him out. I mean, on the one hand, the pitcher spot's due up second. And I would imagine the Blue Jays might feel there's some value to getting Garcia out there on a high note. I mean, he threw 7 great innings tonight, and that's going to build his confidence back.
Absolutely, and you're right. Take him out on a high note, and I'm sure he wants to stay in the game and try to come up with a win, but he can win it here if the Blue Jays score a run. But he was great. And you know what? He came off the disabled list. He threw on Thursday in the side session at Rogers Center and said he feels good, and boy, he was right on the money.
And again, if this were an American League park, he'd probably be back out there. But with this being a National League park and the pitcher spot due up second, you go to your bench.
Yeah.
Kevin Pillar.
Yeah, Kevin Pillar will come into the ball game, hit in the 9th spot, and he'll take over in center field. And Jaime says, you know what, maybe if he gets on, I can bunt.
That might be it. Well, we're never going to know. You're right. I think the fact that he put the helmet on suggests that if Maile had gotten on, they would have left Garcia into bunt, but now it'll be Pillar. That would explain why there was a conversation, but no handshake.
Yeah. And Russell obviously offering congratulations for a great start, and he said, how'd you feel? And Jaime said, better. And he was good. And you know what? He talked about his shoulder being an issue, and obviously it was.
Pillar not in the starting lineup for the first time all season. And getting a chance to potentially play a pivotal role. That gets through Dominguez. He slows it down. Hernandez's throw's not in time. Infield hit Kevin Pillar.
Well, Kevin had an RBI double in the first inning in last night's game. That snapped an 0 for 19 for Pillar, and he comes off the bench and gets his first pinch hitting opportunity of the season and hits one right back up the middle. Looked like Dominguez got a piece of it, slowed it down, and then Hernandez throw not in time at first, and Pillar busted it up the line to get an infield base hit. Dominguez just deflected it enough to slow it down to allow Pillar to beat it out at first.
Just the second hit given up by Dominguez. Shift on now with 3 on the right side against Curtis Granderson, who struck out all 3 times against Aaron Nola. 3 of the 10 strikeouts that Nola had.
Well, Pillar's the best Blue Jays base stealer. He was 8 for 8, but we remind you that Jorge Alfaro has thrown out 8 of his last 11 base stealers. Goes back to the 30th of April. He threw out Teoscar Hernandez in the 3rd inning of last night's game in a strike him out, throw him out situation. They struck out Solarte, and Alfaro threw a seed to second to nail Hernandez. But you got to make Pillar stop. If he continues to walk off first, he's going to get a good jump.
Short lead right now, getting bigger, and a swing and a miss. 0-2 on Granderson. Tough days so far for Curtis Granderson. Now Franco way over towards second base now that it's gotten to a 2-strike count, so almost the entire left side of the infield's wide open. It's funny, in that situation, would you want to pitch outside? I know it was an off-speed pitch, but would you want to pitch outside that theoretically is easier for Granderson to hit the other way?
No, but it was a breaking ball, and they expected it to break down and in, and that pitch would be the one that Granderson would pull. So it was a mistake by Dominguez.
Broken back ground ball. Hernandez to Franco, back to first. 4-5-3 inning ending double play. Tied at 1 going to the bottom of the 8th. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall in the Samsung broadcast studio.
on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. It's the best time to find a Honda you'll love.
Well, an interesting baseball game today. A little rain delay at the start, a little rain delay in the middle. A no-hit bid for a while for Aaron Nola. Russell Martin ties it with an RBI single to break up the no-hit bid. And it's still tied at 1 going to the bottom of the 8th after the best outing of Jaime Garcia's Blue Jay career.
No question about it. Just 73 pitches, and he goes 7 innings. First time he's gone 7 innings as a Blue Jay, and I just wanted to run. That was a home run to Michael Franco, and the biggest number for me, he didn't walk back. He struck out 5, and for the Blue Jays, it's the first time they've had back-to-back quality starts since April 24th and April 25th. Jay Happ and Aaron Sanchez had back-to-back quality starts, but it's been a long time in between.
Joe Biagini. Tie game and a guy who can give you some length if it were to go extra innings. So this is a good spot for John Gibbons to throw him in there and see what Biagini's return to the bullpen looks like.
His first relief appearance since August 7th, 2017. Kevin Pillar stays in the game to play center field.
Granderson's out of the game. Biagini's in the 1 spot in the lineup. And this is Nick Williams, who has been an incredible pinch hitter for the Phillies. Now he'll play in the outfield some as well, but as a pinch hitter, he's 8 for 18 with 2 home runs this year. High fly ball to deep left center, and he's done it again. 3rd pinch hit home run for Williams as he greets Biagini rudely, and the Phillies take the lead.
Well, you mentioned what a good pinch hitter Williams has been for this ball club, and it's a special knack to come off the bench and be able to deliver a big hit. And you talk about a big hit. Right out over the plate, middle, and Biagini knows that that ball is not going to stay in the yard.
And just like that, the Phillies have the lead back. Cesar Hernandez. Fly ball center field for Pillar.
So as a pinch hitter, Nick Williams is 9 for 19 with 3 homers and 8 RBIs, and he put a good swing on that one. Right out over the plate, not trying to pull it, not trying to guide it. He just turned it loose and hits it deep into the seats in center. They give the Phillies the lead.
It's been a tough go for Biagini. Is he a starter? Is he a reliever? The numbers have always been better out of the bullpen. But the Blue Jays, fearing they didn't have much depth from starters, stretched him out and said they're committed to it. But he has struggled this year as a starter. Now they have a need for a multi-inning guy in the bullpen, which was the role he filled so ably 2 years ago. But can he get back to that? Luke and Barnes up in the pen. Two-one Phillies, bottom 8.
That home run for Williams, his 3rd pinch hit home run, that ties him with Justin Moore of the Miami Marlins for the most pinch hit home runs in baseball. He also has tied Tommy La Stella with 9 pinch hits for the most in baseball. Well, Williams done a terrific job coming off the bench for the Phillies.
He beats Hoskins on a fastball there, and it's 1-2.
The 8 RBIs as a pinch hitter, the most in baseball. So what a valuable weapon he has been coming off the bench.
Well, in the National League, you need it. You need it way more than you do in the American League. Everybody wants to play more, but everybody had a guy. Lenny Harris was a great example. Veteran guys who could come off the bench. Donaldson to his left, spins, throws, got him.
It's time to fire up your senses. Your best experience begins with Broil King. Available at your local home hardware. Here's how.
Now Joe Biagini's given up a home run to Nick Williams here this inning, and that's going to be all for the right-hander. With the left-hand hitting Odubel Herrera due up. Aaron Loup will be coming in for the Blue Jays when we come back. Batter he faces, giving the Phillies a 2-1 lead here in the bottom of the 8th. He gets a couple of outs after that and now turns it over to Aaron Loup.
Aaron Loup has really thrown the ball well. He has really done a great job. He's not allowed a hit in any of his last 7 appearances over a span of 5 innings. Hasn't walked a batter during that stretch and has 5 strikeouts. So he's really zeroed in on the bottom of the zone, concentrating just on making quality pitches with his fastball and slider. Low in the zone for strikes, not trying to move it around too much.
Drive of the game brought to you by the new 2018 Civic Si. When it leads off, it leads for good.
Now the Phillies, they don't have a real experienced bench, but they send Nick Williams up to the plate to lead off the 8th inning, and he delivers his 3rd pinch hit home run of the season. He has been their best weapon the Phillies have coming off the bench. His 9th hit of the season as a pinch hitter, and he's driven in 8 runs. That's the difference in this game at this point.
So now lefty-lefty, Loup and Herrera. As the Blue Jays are down a run, they've got Donaldson, Smoke, and Hernandez due up in the top of the 9th inning. Herrera taking a long time. If they were playing with pitch clock rules, it would be 0-2 right now.
Well, he's late on that fastball. There's another good example of what Loup has been trying to do successfully, using that fastball bottom of the zone. Hector Neris on the left, Luis Garcia on the right.
A little bit high. Two and two. So a 1-run win for the Blue Jays last night, trailing by a run, bottom 8. And another game to come tomorrow, weather permitting. Jay Happ and Nick Pivetta, 1 o'clock start. Before the Blue Jays head north to Boston. Play a day game on Memorial Day against the Red Sox, night game Tuesday, day game Wednesday. Breaking ball hit him right in the rear end. Maybe a little bit higher, maybe in the lower back, and he appears to be a little bit dinged up, even though it was a slow curveball.
Yeah, I think it hit him right in the top of his glute in the back, and that could really sting you. He's trying to walk it off, hit him right in the back pocket, if you will. He didn't have anywhere to go. You see, he uses that leg kick, and it hit him right in the hip pocket. He gets hung up with that leg kick, can't get out of the way, and that slider just finds him, and that one hurts.
Now Luke faces the switch hitter, Carlos Santana, who's 0 for 3. So it'll be a no decision for Jaime Garcia. Gives up a run on 5 hits through 7. Just 73 pitches thrown today. 52 strikes. Eugenie in jeopardy of being saddled with a loss after giving up the Williams home run. Luke trying to make sure it stays just a 1-run deficit. That's a pitch he's thrown a lot better recently. That fastball either down and away to the righties or down and into the lefties.
Yeah, and he can use his changeup against righties as well. That's been a very good pitch for him against the right-hand hitters.
Ground ball to third, backhanded by Donaldson, and that's all for the Phillies in the bottom of the 8th. But they get a run on the pinch hit home run by Nick Williams. 2, 3, 4 coming up for the Blue Jays in the 9th. And it'll be Luis Garcia coming on looking for the save. He doesn't have any. They've got a closer in Hector Neris who's got 9, but this may be one of those situations where the Phillies, who are very analytically inclined right now, like something about Garcia's stuff versus the hitters he's going to face. Kind of a surprise that Neris isn't the one in the game.
Yeah, Neris gives up a few home runs, and Garcia has allowed just 1 home run in 19 2/3 innings. So you think he's hitting 159 against Garcia. I think they're concerned about Neris, the walks. He's walked 10 in 19 innings. So you come in here and take a shot for this guy. I think you're right. I think the analytics has played a big part in this decision here as Neris is still down in that bullpen.
And it wouldn't be beyond them to have Garcia face a batter or two, get them out, and then Neris come in. It's oftentimes all about the matchups for the Phillies as opposed to having a set closer, set roles. Although Gabe Kapler said earlier today the one non-quantifiable thing that he's learned the most is the guys out there need confidence. You've got to put them in a place to succeed. It can't just be about the numbers.
Right. And they will use numbers such as swing path and spin rate, and it's not just lefty righty matchups. It's about where the hitter's swing path is and how it matches up with your reliever and the stuff he features. I mean, that's how in depth they are when they go down to their matchups.
Josh Donaldson leads it off. 0 for 2 with a walk. And a big rip at it. It's a swinging bunt up the third baseline. He's got himself a base hit. And at this point, given the situation, 9th inning down a run, you'll gladly take that.
Got to get base runners on, and he does. Big swing. You're right. He just chopped at it, and he hits it in a perfect spot. The third baseman is way back at third. Franco not expecting any kind of bunt, of course, so he's deep, and he picks it up and wisely makes no throw. So leadoff man's aboard.
Now Smoke, who's probably happy to be rid of all those curveballs and changeups that he was seeing from Aaron Nola. Struck out twice. He's also walked and scored. The only run of the game for the Blue Jays, which came in on a 2-out RBI single by Russell Martin back in the 7th.
The Phillies and the Blue Jays face each other a lot in spring training. And I know spring training is different, but they have seen Garcia quite a bit. You know, he pitched a few times against him in Dunedin this spring. He throws hard. He's not an overpowering type of pitcher. You see Shen Wan Oh loosening up. Danny Barnes has already thrown. He's standing by. That's kind of interesting. If Smoke hits a 2-run home run, it's a save situation.
And I think it's O, given what we just saw. It's probably Barnes if it's tied, and O if it's a save situation. And maybe because of the stress of the inning that Ryan Tepera had yesterday.
I think that's exactly right. And it took Ryan a few minutes to gather himself so he could do the interview.
Yeah. Well,
it was a stressful night.
Arash is a very intimidating guy,
Yeah,
as you know.
he is. He wanted to make sure he had all his thoughts together before he went over there for that tough interview.
And I don't think this means that Ryan Tepera is not going to get a chance to close out another game. I think it means that today, based on how tough that inning was last night, that today John Gibbons will look in another direction and try Shen Wan Oh if they're.
I think that's exactly what it is. Yeah, the context of that save last night was pretty intense, and I think that they choose to go to someone else if that opportunity presents itself.
Smoke takes it low. And all of this, of course, as a result, or almost all of this, as a result of Roberto Osuna not being with the team. Everybody else has to step into a different role.
No question about it. And everybody, like you said with Gabe Kapler, everybody wants to have a certain level of confidence and comfort level into where they're slotted in that bullpen.
Leadoff base hit for Donaldson. 1-2 to Smoke. Broken bat grounder right side. And he'll go get a new bat after he fouls that one off.
Well, the starting matchup was terrific. Jaime Garcia and Aaron Nola, both starters were terrific in their outings today. Garcia goes 7 innings, allows 1 run on 5 hits. Nola goes 6 2/3, allows 1 run on 1 hit. He walked 3 and struck out 10. He continues to dominate teams pitching here at Citizens Bank Park.
Here, a bit of a "Let's Go Blue Jays" chant here in Philadelphia. There are Blue Jay fans around the ballpark this weekend. Another 1-2. Did he go? Yes, he did. And it did look like he did. No argument, 1 down. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Martin Guyard. All right, Martine, thank you very much. 1 down here in the 9th inning, tying run at first. And the go-ahead run at the plate for the Blue Jays. And they find a way to scratch out at least a run here off Garcia. The batter is Teoscar Hernandez. He's 0 for 3 today, and he takes that sweeping breaking ball way outside. Yangervis Solarte is on deck for the Blue Jays. So it's the right part of the order you want up in the 9th inning. Donaldson, Smoke, Hernandez, Solarte. Ground ball to third. Could be 2. And it is, as the Phillies win it. Garcia picks up his first save. Franco's home run's a big one. Williams' home run is even bigger. And a great performance by Jaime Garcia goes for naught as the Blue Jays fall 2-1.
Well, Blue Jays got a terrific effort from Jaime Garcia, but after scoring 6 runs on 11 hits, Aaron Nola and the bullpen for Philadelphia certainly slammed the door very dramatically on the offense for the Jays, and Nick Williams comes off the bench and hits the decisive home run, his third pinch hit home run of the season, and the Phillies win Game 2 of this 3-game series.
So it'll be the rubber match tomorrow afternoon, weather permitting. Nick Pivetta for the Phillies, Jay Happ for the Blue Jays. Time now for Sportsnet Central. Right back to the studio again.